he had a hard time expressing himself and being present. And then when he came into my home, he was so present. I could feel his attention and his energy. And he was listening like he had never listened before. And we had this, come to Jesus moment of, this is what happened. This is what I'm doing to heal. Do you want to do this and heal and have a relationship together?
I'm Karina Monaran, and welcome to Her Salty Words. My special guest today is Zoe Kelly. I'm excited about this episode because it's my first in-person episode. I'm also excited about this episode because Zoe really trusted this space to be vulnerable and open and share her experiences and how those experiences has and continues to shape who she is today. There is so much humanity here to unpack, so many good nuggets for you to connect with, that I couldn't just put it all in one episode. I split it up. So this episode will be part 1, and then part 2 will probably post in a week or so, because this is a one-woman show. So I'm working at the pace that I can go with everything else that you got to do on your plate when you're just one person. And it's all good, and I'm enjoying the process. And I'm just excited to get this one out because it's the first in-person one, which I've already mentioned, but it was just so cool. And I look forward to having more in-person ones. So hopefully I'll be able to share more of those here soon too. But let me introduce you to Zoe. She is an actress, producer, director, teacher. She is on a mission of finding ways to serve the community by sharing the knowledge that she's gained and the experiences that she's had with others. And she is always seeking ways to inspire and support women around her. And also, she seeks ways to provide space for the underrepresented, such as women of color and the LGBTQ plus community. So in this part 1 of the interview, we focus on Zoe's journey and into adulthood and how her experiences and sort of choices and her journey led her to who she is today as an adult. And before we jump into the episode, I just want to give a friendly reminder to click and subscribe to Her Salty Words podcast. And hey, help a fellow human out by giving it 5 stars so that way it can get out more to people. And then if you've got some time, check out saltywords.com to see what Salty Words Productions has going on. And then if you would like the YouTube version of this podcast, go to Why You Gotta Be So Salty YouTube channel, and then you can see us there. And all of this, the links will be in the show notes, and then in the YouTube video, I'll post it somewhere here on the video. But I'm so glad you're here, and I just know that you're just going to enjoy what Zoe is sharing. So let's jump right in and enjoy. Welcome. I'm so excited that you're here, Zoe. Thank you so much for meeting in person. You are my first in-person podcast that we're doing today. So it's awesome sauce that you're okay with meeting. So thank you so much for coming and hanging out so we can dive in and cuss and discuss about a few things.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really happy to be here.
Good, thanks. So let's just kind of start in. We talked a little bit, just kind of caught up and everything before we started, but so everybody knows, how did Idaho become your home base? Like, what made you decide on Idaho?
Yeah.
To land here.
Yeah. Well, I've been here since I was 10 or 11. My dad bought some businesses in the valley, and we moved here. I went to high school here, a lot of formative years here, and I never would imagine that I stayed here. But I did. I moved around a little bit out of high school, and I just never felt like I had a support system or connected with the culture or whatever the reason was. So I came back here when I was 19 or 20. And I'm currently going to school here. So that's kind of keeping my roots in Boise. And I'm really grateful to be in the community. I think it's a good spot for me right now in my life.
That's good.
Yeah.
And wow, that's really interesting. I'm always curious how Idaho, where you can find, like what you're saying, that community and how it can be Idaho. Nothing against the state. It's just like even when I come across, whether it's refugees or just people who've moved here, it's like, but what makes Idaho that place to feel comfortable or to find that community?
Yeah.
Do you think?
For me, I think that, my family's here. That's a big part of it. And, I made my way into the theater and the film community. And I think that's what's kept me, because my dad has since moved away. He lives in Montana now. But my roots with the community as far as theater and film really keep me grounded here. I've made, lifelong friends, my closest friends in the community. And for me, in this point in my creative career, I think that the size of the community helps me grow and be able to achieve creative pursuits. Whereas in a bigger community, I may get more overlooked or might not have as many opportunities. Yeah. I feel like.
Yeah, that's a good way. That's a really lovely way to put it. Because a lot of times, I think sometimes even I focus a little bit on the fact that Idaho is a Republican state, and I think that right there makes it assume that there aren't a diverse sort of population in terms of, beliefs, viewpoints, that there is a lot of creativity going on, and that there are, whether they're small, medium, or large, there are those pockets of communities where really good creative stuff can be had and connections can be made on a more personal and human level.
Oh yeah, I think when I was younger, before I was plugged into the theater and film community, when I was here, I was part of the LGBTQ community, and that while Idaho is a very red state and there are a lot of regressive laws and legislators and culture, there are, especially in Boise proper, in downtown Boise, which is where I live, I feel like there is more of a acceptance and more diversity and a little bit more of a progressive community there, which I feel like I fit in too. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the LGBT community and the art community are just like a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
So it's been good.
For sure. And Boise really is. I mean, it's grown exponentially in the last, decade, but there is something about Boise it's true. Whether it's just like the vibration, just the earth vibration going through is just a good one.
Yes.
But there's something just really, really good about it. That's attractive. So as a kid, then what was your favorite thing to do, and how did that inform what you ended up wanting to do or enjoy doing as you grew up?
Yeah, like as a really little kid, like, since I can remember, like 6, 7, this is so embarrassing. I really liked to put on my CDs. I had like Britney Spears and very pop music. And I had this big closet that was just all mirrors. It was like one of those sliding closets with mirrors.
Yeah.
And I grabbed like my hairbrush or whatever. And I would choreograph and lip sync to every song in the album. I would memorize all of the lyrics.
Yeah.
And I would put on these performances for like my family or just myself in the mirror. And I think about that a lot. Not a lot, but I was thinking about it when I was getting off book for a project the other day. Mm-hmm. That maybe memorizing all those lyrics helped me form the memorization muscle really young.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I guess, ever since I was little, I always just had a very flamboyant personality. I would put on one-act shows for my family during Christmas. I don't remember what they were about, but I just remember being in front of the Christmas tree and being like, everyone look at me. I have something to perform.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
So I think I was born a little performer.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So I'm going to take just a quick pause. I need to check a camera really quick because I want to make sure that it's on. Yes, it is. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's what it is. When you're just one, you got to kind of stop and do it all. So thanks for your patience.
Oh my gosh, no problem.
I appreciate that.
I get it.
So that is fantastic. So Britney Spears was that, and I was like a full-blown adult with a child on the way when I really got into Britney Spears myself, so I totally understand it. There is, and then now there's free, this free Britney campaign going on, so hopefully she'll get some, just some justice in that way and not be used. It's just so amazing that that's allowed, allowed to continue on.
Yeah, and the fact that her bodily autonomy is next to nothing right now. You saw the part about her being forced to be on birth control.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just terrifying.
She wasn't allowed to take it out. There is a documentary on Netflix by the New York Times. I think they did. Have you, not Netflix, excuse me, Hulu. You might enjoy that. With being a fan, it just talks about like her journey and the gal who wrote it knows Britney. I'm not sure what connection there is there, but it really gives even deeper insight alongside her testimony that she gave. And when I watched it, it was very difficult not to burst out in frustration and anger.
Yeah.
Just thinking at what point, can a woman just have her own body, for herself? But also everybody that played a role in that too. The media, the questions that were asked, in some of the interviews it shows in the documentary. So, yeah. Crazy, man. Crazy. Make sure that I'm not redoing the same question. You know what I mean? It's like I have a tendency to do that. So I write a question and then sometimes I'll just rewrite it in a different way. And then sometimes I think that kind of sounds like the same question.
Sorry, I'll just give a different answer.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're like, what is the real truth?
I know, right? It's like great performer in you. You're able to just adapt to the scene, very improv. Oh my God.
Yes, and.
Oh my God. Yes, exactly. Yes, I did grow up with my family. Oh my gosh. So you talked a little bit about the, what you enjoy doing for yourself as a growing up and how that sort of led to theater and that performance bug. Seems like it was there from a very early age. How was your home life alongside that, and how did your family support and help guide you, I guess, through that exploration, if they did, and how were those all the good tidbits and the challenges that came with it?
Yeah,
growing up.
I definitely had a really tumultuous home life. My mom has a lot of mental health issues and use drugs and alcohol to medicate. Mm. So I grew up in a very abusive household, and I still hold on to a lot of resentment about that. I realized that without my history, I wouldn't be who I am today, though. And I like who I am, and I like where I'm at. So I'm trying to find that gratitude. But for me, theater was like my safe haven. I am grateful that my parents put me in theater really young. At 6, I did my first community theater play, and I really found what family feels like in the theater. I think my parents were using extracurricular as a way to get me out of the household, which is totally valid, and any parent would feel that way. But for me, my theater experience became a really safe place I could be, and where I found how family is supposed to feel and that support. While I am super grateful that my family put me in theater, I don't really have a relationship with my mother at all. I haven't really spoken to her in about 3 years.
Yeah.
And I feel like theater definitely like saved my life, honestly.
Yeah.
There was a lot of darkness throughout, especially preteen, teen years. And having that outlet and that safe place, I think, helped keep me alive. Yeah. Truly.
Wow.
And I'm really grateful because right now I have the opportunity to teach some education classes through Idaho Shakespeare. And while I was building my curriculum yesterday, I just kept thinking about this experience I had. And if there's even one kiddo in my class that is experiencing the same thing, and I can create that safe environment for them, like, that would just mean the world to me. So.
And how is your relationship currently with your mom and dad? Like, having grown up in a very sort of tumultuous, like you said, environment where you ended up finding family in theater, and what that should feel like. And what's beautiful there is, maybe a two-layered question here is, by finding the family in theater, did that help you work through that emotional part, the trauma, and all the elements that come from having a home life like that, because you're able to satisfy a need that they couldn't have somewhere else? And so how did that also inform your healing process as well?
Yeah, I think I probably overlook a lot of the healing aspects that theater played in my life. I don't think I've thought about it that way, but I'm sure having that safety and those mother figures, especially in the theater that I found. My theater teacher, Tara Sullivan, growing up, we called her Mama Sullivan. I mean, I felt a really close connection with her, and just other, older women in the theater, the community theater environment that I worked with, where I felt that nurturing and that love. Definitely, I think, helped heal that mother wound. As for my relationship with my parents, my dad and I have had many honest and open conversations, and I've been able to find forgiveness. And he lives in Montana, but we do see each other when he comes into town, and I was able to bring acceptance and love and tolerance to that relationship. But he was not my abuser. He may have been complicit or just not around.
Right.
But, my abuser is my mother, and I have given myself permission to no longer have a relationship with her. And I think in our culture, we deify parental figures, and there's something, idolized about a mother-daughter relationship.
Yes.
And I spent a lot of years mourning that loss. And I think I still am today. But I also give myself permission to not do things that hurt me anymore. And continuing that relationship without a change in behavior from her was just damaging my psyche.
Yeah.
And so, as of today, I suppose, I haven't spoken to her in about 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's just very touching. That makes me so emotional just hearing about it, because the process of giving yourself permission to let go of a parental figure that is not bringing, in that construction of what parents should be. You hit it so beautifully with it being like a deity type of thing, especially as mothers are capable of not being good parents too. They're very capable of not liking their children or, being abusive in that way. But there is something very beautiful in finding that power within to do what's best for you and being able to let go with that. It's like I can feel that severing, because you have to do that, because it's what's best for you. Because she has to worry about herself. She's a big girl. Parents have to worry about, they're big kids, but to come to that process. Wow. And so have you had conversations with your dad? Like you said, you came to him in love and sort of compassion. Was he able to acknowledge how he was complicit in those moments, and what did he do to kind of help you be able to then be okay and feel heard? I feel acknowledged, and to help you work through that.
Yeah. So growing up, my dad was just he owned his own chain of businesses. He just wasn't around a whole lot. He was really dedicated to building a stable monetary income that then he could retire early or just provide for his family, which there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But he wasn't around a lot, and he was complicit in a lot of the abuse, and he also suffered at the hands of the same abuse. So what ended up transpiring is I took a break from all of my family when I cut off contact with my mother, and I just said, I need some time to heal and process this. And at the same time, my father, who's now separated from my mother, was doing his own healing journey. He really got into a lot of meditation and introspection and counseling, and started to heal his own trauma and his own wounds. And when we came together for the first meeting, I had a plan to ask him to leave my house if things started getting a little hairy, which was huge, but I didn't have to use it. He came authentically, which I hadn't seen him do before. Growing up, he had a stutter, and he had a hard time expressing himself and being present. And then when he came into my home, he was so present. I could feel his attention and his energy. And he was listening like he had never listened before. And we had this, come to Jesus moment of, this is what happened. This is what I'm doing to heal. Do you want to do this and heal and have a relationship together? And it, the fact that he acknowledged what happened was monumental. Because I haven't had that from my mother. She denies everything.
Of course, yes.
Which is very counterproductive.
Yes.
And so the fact that he acknowledged, apologized, and put action behind that was what resonated as, this is okay. We can move forward. And I'm grateful that he did, because we have a wonderful relationship. And, he does live in another state, but I know I can call him, and at the drop of a hat, he would be here for me if I needed that.
That connection has been securely established, and it's there. And it is sad because it prevents your mom by not acknowledging. And I think that's something that maybe is not realized by those who are doing the harm. By acknowledging the harm, not only are you helping the other person, but you're helping yourself, because you're holding yourself accountable. And finally, you're releasing yourself of that too, by making it present and aware. It can be a beautiful thing if you step into that uncomfortableness, and the prevention of not having a relationship with you. But the beauty with how you were able to connect with your dad, and it's just, I love hearing how when the parent is able to work on themselves, that is, I don't hear that enough. We don't hear that, especially from that generation, my parents' generation, and then their parents, however it was, to take the time to really reflect, how am I impacting my kids and what have I done, to cause harm, to them, is just not in a lot of their vocabulary, And so to hear that is just so beautiful, and how wonderful to have that connection with him now.
I'm really grateful. He's definitely a very unique person in that aspect, I feel.
And are there similarities? Do you draw some of that creativeness from him as well, in terms of like your performance and the things you enjoy doing? Do you share some of that with him too?
Not really. He's a very like businessman. Mm-hmm. I think where we can connect in our maybe hobbies is in the more like meditation or more spiritual side of things. Yeah, we can definitely connect on that. I remember I was doing Oliver. I was in the musical Oliver with Musical Theater of Idaho when I was like 13 or 14, and they were like, "We need more older men." So I was like, "Dad, you should come be in a play with me. This would be so fun. We could bond father-daughter time. Yeah. Come on." And I played the piano a little bit, and I started playing his audition song that he would have to do. Oh boy, he cannot carry a tune. So I was like, never mind, Dad.
Yeah. Let's not say we did. That's awesome. Aww. That's cool. That was up there.
He's super supportive. Yeah. I mean, every play, every choir concert, every movie I've ever been in, he's there in the audience. Wow. I got into a film festival with the film project I did a couple times, and he comes to every single one. He's very supportive.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. I love that. And I'm just gonna do just another quick check. Make sure everything's still running smoothly. Okay, good. Thank you for your patience on that, by the way.
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure.
Can see in live action. Perfect. Okay. This year there is this mass explosion of earwigs. I kid you not.
Really?
Everywhere. It's like, what, is there a nest in here or something? I see. So if there all of a sudden like there's a jolt or you see something and you scream, it's probably an earwig. So if I jolt for something, that's what it is, because they suck. They're everywhere. One came up on my arm and I'm like, oh my God. Oh. And then I flicked it on my foot and I'm like, ah. I'm like, seriously, like, this is just this little itty bitty thing, and it's getting this sturdy gal all shook up.
I heard that if you put like a paper plate full of olive oil, maybe it's olive oil. I think it's olive oil. They'll come to it thinking it's water, and then they can't leave.
That is a fantastic idea.
I think you might want to Google check that.
I am going to do that, and then I'm going to apply it.
Yeah,
because it's too much. Awesome. So thank you so much for trusting this space to be able to share that and sharing it, because I think it's so important to share those stories, especially our relationship with our parents. And I know for me, a lot of times I am intimidated to do that because of, in my particular environment, it being patriarchy and very male dominated and that sort of thing, and the women and especially children are seen and not really heard. In that regard, it felt like a betrayal to speak because everything was so hush hush. Yeah. And I think just in general, I think it's like that because family dynamics, you don't, that saying, air your dirty laundry. And it's not really about airing dirty laundry and sharing those experiences. How can we relate and understand each other a little bit more? And then that really helps, like hearing you helps me reflect, makes me think of my own dynamic with my parents and how there's little nuggets in your story that can really resonate in a way to help either through a healing process or ease or bring understanding to myself or, the parents. And so I just think, I really appreciate you going a little bit deeper into that.
I just want to share my experience, strength, and hope with maybe the intention of inspiring someone or helping someone feel a little less alone.
Yes.
Because I didn't, come to this point in my journey alone. I had a lot of support. Specifically one of my close friends had a similar situation, and through her sharing her experience, strength, and hope, I was able to make these bigger changes in my life. And so while I don't typically share this a lot, I'm not a very vulnerable person in my public persona, intentionally. I appreciate this space to maybe be a little more vulnerable, and I think this is a really good platform to do it. And the conversations you've been having have resonated with me. I told you I've been listening to some of the podcasts, and there are same thing, little nuggets that help me along this crazy journey called life.
Yes.
And
I'm
I
with you there.
think that's why we're here.
Yeah. I love hearing that. That just like feeds the soul, and it's just wonderful. I don't know. It's weird because it's like, but I'm very expressive anyway. I throw my hands up and everything. But I love what you're saying. It tastes like sweetness and chocolate, and it just feels like peace and harmony. So I love that so much. So before we go on our next question, I heard a beep, so I'm going to check that really quick. I just want to make sure that nothing. Yes, this stopped, so I'm very glad. Let's continue on. Okay, so we'll record. Okay. Oh, thank you for
Good ear.
Well, you heard it too, though, so you have a good ear too.
Yeah, but I just.
I know.
Threw it out the door.
Some random. And then earlier the fridge. Did you hear it? No, seriously. Sometimes it sounds like a dog barking, woof woof, or this this being or some kind of person trying to cross over, and it's like it's just crazy.
Fridge.
Yes. Oh my goodness, I'm surprised it's still kicking and going. Like, good for you, Frigidaire. Whatever. Yeah, Frigidaire. Oh man, crazy electronics.
I love it.
Awesome. So, I want to, before we go into your projects and kind of break those down a little bit, can you give a little bit of where you started at? So you did theater when you were young, and then from theater, how did it continue into theater, and then film, and how did all those sort of begin coming together?
Yeah. So started theater really young. Community theater audition when I was 6. I sang Row, Row, Row You Boat.
Oh.
Kind of continued until high school. I was involved with the Idaho Shakespeare Festival kiddo programs when I was younger. Super grateful. And when I graduated high school, I got involved with some shady characters, and I kind of fell off my life's path. I don't regret it because it did shape and inform who I am as a person and built a lot of character.
Mm-hmm.
But when I turned, I think I was 20 or 21, I got back to myself and I auditioned for Rocky Horror Picture Show at Stagecoach Theater. And I got cast as Columbia, which was a dream role. And it really escalated from there. I got paid to do some singing events at different churches. I sang at Pride with Jen Potcher. Super grateful for that opportunity. Yeah. And then around that time, I got my first film gig. And it was a feature film called Brown Truck through Lower Gentry Studios. And I played the female lead. And I've been really involved in the theater and film community ever since. Had a lot of really great opportunities, met a lot of really good people, and really, really learned how to act.
Yeah.
Up until about 22, I never really understood the craft. I'm a very expressive person, a very emotional person, and that's kind of where I lived, was in that emotional realm. But when I met Matt Melton and started working for Treasure Valley Children's Theater, I really learned the techniques. behind the craft. That's what I've been really focusing on for the past couple of years.
The pride where you sang, I saw you.
You did?
Yes, I remember. And I remember you up there with Jen, because I was starting just getting kind of in the community at that time too. And I was out, and that was the first time I actually attended a pride.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So it was important for me to just get out and, explore and understand and educate myself, because I was coming out of my own, like, oh, whatever. Yeah. But I remember, and you were just up there having a good time, and you were like just so into it, and you're like, just yeah, So it was a really nice, just very fun and passionate performance too. It was really good. And then we also you came a few times to Saturday morning.
Yes.
We did. It was not Actors Workout, because that's separate. That one was with Matt Melton and Brendan Freeman.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if we ever were in the same, if you did that, and if we ever ended up being in the same month period but I remember Saturday morning at BCT.
Oh, the Viewpoint Suzuki.
Viewpoints, yes.
Yeah.
Suzuki. That one was, I really enjoyed doing that.
I miss it.
Yeah. But so it was there. So it's just interesting where sort of we connect and being able to, like, wow, that was a while ago.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. It really was. Because that's where I first remember meeting you, was at the BCT Saturday morning trainings. And I remember just at first, my first time being in the room, I was so bad at Viewpoints. No, I didn't understand what the hay was going on. I was just there with my ego. My ego was like showing up full force. I was like, I'm amazing. And then, like, through the process, I slowly started stripping away this ego and realized, like, just me is enough. I don't need to be showing off. And that was, like, what really started me wanting to learn more about the craft and the actual techniques behind it. I really loved that experience. And I remember I was just so enamored with you. I was like, she's so wise.
What?
So
no.
beautiful.
Oh my gosh, no.
She knows. Oh my gosh. Okay. I just totally pedestaled everyone in that room. I was like, I know nothing.
Oh my gosh. No, I totally pedestaled, and still with Tracy and Heidi. Tracy and Heidi Craig, they were the ones. Oh my gosh, like, and I was like this, like, always, oh, can we get together? Oh, I was this weirdo, and especially Tracy, poor thing. I'm sitting there like totally stalking her, and she's like, okay, enough, like, we're done. And it's true, what they brought into that room was just really good in that, stripping it down to the core and just being present, but they still gave little tweaks, and that was a good challenge. Like, close your mouth, don't give any expression, like, let it all, and letting it all go, you really are looking to see what's coming out. Because when those moments happen, it was really just beautiful to see.
Yeah. And authentic. Mm-hmm. That was the first time I think I saw authentic creativity just occur. No force, no hope, no despair. Just existing. Yeah. So powerful. Yeah. So cool.
I agree. And that's what always drew. And it was a bummer when they, I hope they started up again. I hope now that we start getting a little bit more it starts, because I'd love to go do it again. I'm hoping that they'll because they are also two people I would like to include their stories as well. So I would, hopefully they'll have time or be interested in talking with someone that was just all this weird person off to the side. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are so smart. Like, just so much, good stuff. But
did you ever get really frustrated in that class?
I did sometimes, yes. And I also watched, like, when just people from the community and yourself in the beginning, how you could see, like, there was a little bit of frustration, because you could, and I had it too. It was like, what am I doing wrong? I'm in present. I'm doing what I'm, like, what's wrong with my mouth open? Like, it looks good, that sort of thing. But yeah, so how talk about that what made it a little bit like frustrating in terms of in the beginning before being able to shed.
Yeah, I think we see it a lot in the creative community when people are especially younger. A lot of just very positive. What am I trying to say? Hollow positive feedback. And so up until that point, I don't think I had ever actually received any sort of constructive criticism or any feedback that wasn't just hollowly positive. But I didn't recognize it as hollow. I thought it was just amazing.
So because you are amazing, you were amazing, but I hear what you're saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had never received that kind of feedback with Tracy. I remember she specifically was like, you don't need to force anything. You're not creating, you're existing. And I was like, this lady doesn't know what the heck she's talking about. I'm in a forest. I'm chasing a butterfly. She's like, walk around the room.
Yeah.
The direction is walk in an aisle, up and down the room.
Yeah.
And I'm creating this scene in my head. I'm using my imagination. And she's like, drop it, leave it. You don't need it. Just walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was so frustrating. I was clawing onto that for dear life. I'm like, no, I'm an artist. I'm a creator. And so that breakdown of that ego of you don't need to have all this nonsense. Humans are interesting. Just walking. And that's our job as actors. It's not to force or to, project. It's just to be. And like that was so powerful for me. Game changer.
Yeah, for sure. That being in the present moment and only the present moment and nothing else. That bareness. And there, from what I could take away from it too was the point was to being in that present moment. Then everything starts creating. It's like stripping. It reminds me of Anne Carson's Decreation. She's a poet, really good. She's just The Beauty of a Husband is such a beautiful tango in 32 something. But she's a great with words. But it stripping down to taking the whole and unpacking it all the way down to its bare just seed, and even in the seed all the way down to the dot, to the atom, hydrogen bond, whatever it is, and then just letting all the natural things happen from there, sort of organically. And how were you able to take that then into your the theater, the shows that you did after?
Yeah.
Or during that time? How was that sort of process?
Yeah. So for me, that bareness led me to my own intuition and to trust myself. And so and I still use it today when I just did a commercial gig and I had this instinct. He said, I want you to sit on this bench and stretch your leg like this. And so I did for this B-roll shot, but then I felt this instinct of like, I should continue. And so I just continued into this whole like little yoga session on a bench. And he used some of the part later on that he didn't specifically guide me to, but it was a better shot.
Yeah. Me
just existing in the moment. And so for me, the biggest thing I've taken away at this point in my viewpoints training is just listening to that instinct. If you are like, what book is this? It's okay to pick it up and check it out. And instead of, I need to be feeling mad and I need to get this from my scene partner and it's like allowing you to be more human on stage, which is the whole point.
Yeah, exactly. And that makes a more authentic, not just experience, but performance as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then just being more comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah.
Like after failing, quote unquote, time and time again, it's like, I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
It really stripped down a lot of fear and self-doubt and just like, I'm enough.
Yeah. And that was one takeaway too from Viewpoints also, is that the failing is good.
Yeah.
And that's something that I incorporated just in everyday thing, where I began looking at failure as a necessary part and a beautiful thing, and being with that uncomfortable feeling, and even if I've had those moments of, oh my gosh, like, why did I do that? Or I'm, just whatever, harsh to myself, or why, that I can have those moments, but then let those go too, and then just all of it is okay. And it's just amazing how, but it's still a continued process. It's not like something where all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, now I jump into everything. No, it's my brain still has a ways to go, It's just, I feel not as, harsh on myself, maybe, or bad, but still, there's still fear to unpack there.
Oh yeah.
But is there a different viewpoint that you attend, or because it sounds like it's something you're still currently doing. Do you do it on your own?
Yeah, good question. I have led a few viewpoints trainings with some of my actor buddies, and I definitely read and reread that book.
Yes.
And I have been a part of several plays where part of the rehearsal process does include viewpoints. So, and I'm attending BSU right now.
Yeah.
And so I just took a stage voice class that used elements of viewpoints in the practice, but it wasn't called viewpoints. It's a different specific voice technique.
Right.
But it was very heavily influenced by viewpoints, or vice versa. I don't really know.
Yeah.
Chicken or the egg. But so, and I think it's something that we will continue to encounter in our professional career, is the viewpoints training, because it's such a powerful tool to just ground. And leading a few viewpoints exercises with some of my actors is I can see the change, and I can see it affect them. And it is so cool to be that observer and that guide or the guide in that situation.
And were they, because I tried that on one of I was co-directing and didn't end up able to follow through on it, but I tried to take that viewpoint and do it with them. And only one of them sort of understood the viewpoint, but the rest of them were kind of having a hard time. But I noticed a change in them too. How was it? Were they resistant at first when you tried to take them through that, or were they like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to kind of go with it? Or did you notice that as an observer that maybe frustration or struggle at first for them to kind of begin to let go?
I think definitely. I don't know if I think the struggle is part of the process with viewpoints. And so taking them from that point of, what the heck is this crazy person doing to us, to just really letting go of some of that ego and letting go of some of that fear, it was so powerful to watch. I mean, I don't know if they were necessarily super on board with it at first, or even at the end of it, but I don't think it really matters. It's kind of like meditation, even if you just sit down and your mind's racing and you're just trying to focus on your breath, that's still better than not doing it at all. A little bit's better than nothing at all. So I think it was a really cool experience.
That's fantastic. I love how you carried what you learned there into all the different facets of what you're doing, and how you continue sort of honing in on it and pulling from it and applying it in different ways.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So talk about then your projects. So when you think of all the projects that you've done, so all throughout, whether theater or commercials, movies, that sort of thing, which one was your favorite, and what made it your favorite?
Yeah, so I have two favorites, one film, one theater, if you'll indulge me.
Yes, please.
So the theater project was called called Droppin' Johns by Fringe 208. And it was performed in the Gem Center for the Arts before the Black Box Theater in the basement was open.
Yeah. So
it was in the art gallery space. And it's this super empowering story about the lead character, whom I portrayed, Catgirl, who battles Johns. And it's really what's the word I'm looking for? an existential look and take, a more abstract take on the patriarchy.
Oh, wow.
And taking down the patriarchy. And, it's very existential.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a huge challenge. I had like a Hamlet line load. So it was massively challenging and exponentially rewarding. And then at the very end of the script, the last page is Catgirl, my character, removes her makeup, because I had this very decadent or just crazy cat makeup, removes her makeup, and the actress portraying Catgirl stands on stage and tells a story that relates to the content.
Wow.
And so I read the script for the first time and wanted to just cry and pee my pants, because I was like, I'm sorry, I have to be myself?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No, pass. And it was the most vulnerable, challenging thing I've ever had to do in my life, is stand on that stage, look at the audience, and tell them a story that related to my own experience being a hero in the patriarchy, or taking down part of the patriarchy, or my experience, being a woman and playing this role in my own life, because Catgirl was meant to represent every woman and the struggles that we face. And it was very emotional, and it was very challenging, and it was so rewarding. I mean, I got emails and messages from people I'd never met before, asking me to speak at the women's prison and thanking me for what I did. And I learned just like opening up and connecting on that level with people, like maybe I had something to share.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
it was
fantastic.
Really cool.
Wow. That's awesome.
It was awesome. And then my favorite film project is called We Speak. It's a romantic drama by Lower Gentry Studios. It's a feature film, and I played the female lead. And it's probably the best acting I've ever done, just from like a craft standpoint.
Yeah.
I was so present and so connected with the character. I just remember one scene we cut, the director called cut, and we stop, and he's giving maybe someone direction, I don't know, and he just turns to me and said, "Zoe, that point where you chose to cry was perfect."
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
And I was like, "I didn't cry." He's like, "No, you did." I was like, "No, I didn't. I didn't cry. What are you talking about?" So he pulled back the feed, and I was existing.
Yeah.
And I did cry, but I wasn't aware. I wasn't thinking about what I was doing with my face. I wasn't thinking about what I was doing with my body. I was connected with this other actor.
Right.
And we were acting.
Yeah.
And there are a few moments truly where I feel like I've actually been acting.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm striving for it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's maybe 3 moments I can recall in my entire acting career where I'm actually acting.
Mm-hmm.
And that was probably the first, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So cool.
How awesome to be so in the moment that you don't notice you did, something that obviously was a very good choice and came just very naturally, sort of being in that moment, so present. You know? Wow, that's beautiful. That gives me chills. Oh, I got chills. So with those being your favorite, then which ones were the most challenging? And what made it challenging, and to either finish or get through? And then how did you sort of overcome those challenges and just kind of like, I got this?
Yeah, I think the most challenging, definitely the end of Catgirl, where I had to be very vulnerable. That was exceptionally challenging. And, I was able to overcome it because of the director, Kyle Daniel Barrel, and Autumn Kersey was on set with me, and my cast and my crew all had my back. And I just knew that I could expose this very open wound in me. And if I fell down and couldn't walk, they would carry me.
Oh.
Like, I just felt that love and support.
That's wonderful.
And then I think another challenge was I was in a web series called Canyon County.
I did see those episodes.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I'm like stalking.
So So Canyon County, nine episode web series
Yes.
about a social worker working with a patient with, I believe, manic depressive or bipolar. Wow, it escapes me now. Anyways, the very final moment, that last scene, was such a challenge for me.
Wow.
I won't necessarily give spoilers if anyone wants to check it out on YouTube.
Yes, do check it out. It is very good. So yes, you have to. And brilliant performance. So yes.
But that last scene in the counselor's office with Patty O'Hara was just such a challenge. I was just pushing and pushing and pushing for that final result. And I was doing the opposite of living in the moment. I mean, it was such a painstaking process.
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever did really achieve a performance I'm super proud of at the end. I think that where I was at that day, I didn't allow myself to just exist. The director said, you need to cry here. And I was like, give me some fake tears.
Yeah.
Because I'm not there. And I think that happens a lot, where directors or writers will say, and then they cry. And I think that is something we need to reevaluate, because in our lives, when we're sad or we're upset or we're angry, you don't have one response. My life fell apart around me and I started laughing like an insane person. We're human. There's no cookie cutter answer to emotion. And so I personally find that to be in poor form. Controversial opinion, hot take over here. But I just think it's total bullshit, you know? And I had an actress come to me like a month ago and be like, Zoe, I have to cry in this scene and I can't get there. And every time I do, I go to an emotionally dark place. And I was like, girl, don't hurt yourself.
Yeah.
They're not paying you enough to destroy your mental health. You don't have to cry to be upset.
Right.
Exist. And that's what I did wrong in that scene, is I said, I have to cry. And so I did cry. There were tears. I was sad. But it wasn't authentic.
Yeah.
And it wasn't true. And it's cringy for me to watch, because I can feel myself pushing.
Because you know what was happening. Even though the viewers see something different, it's, you were there in that moment. And so it makes it,
It's disingenuous, sadly. And I wish that I had the opportunity to just exist and maybe not cry, maybe just be numb. Because when overwhelmingly terrible things happen in our lives, often we are numb because the feelings are too much to process. And in hindsight, I think that's where I was at with my character, is she was absolutely numb. And she wasn't at a point where she could feel the feelings.
Yeah.
And I wish that I had expressed that properly to the director and allowed myself that space to give that performance.
Yeah. Yeah.
But lesson learned.
Yes. Yeah. Another just sort of tidbit experience where it can inform, the next performance or a moment if it comes up like that.
Well, and now if a director does ask me that I need to cry real tears, I will ask to have the glycerin teardrops on set. Because it's just not, if the script isn't there, if it's being forced, it's going to look hokey. And so I'm like, okay, you want tears? Bring the tears. I can act through it, or we can let something organically transpire.
And I agree. I feel like, I don't know, like more experienced good directors, not to say that there aren't, because there are a lot of them here. It's not that, but I do wonder what drives where it has to stick directly to the script and only the script. It can't veer off at all. And I think there's something worth sort of entertaining, letting the actor perform what comes in that moment and let that organically. And I think a lot of that also came from the viewpoints in terms of, let's explore this moment and see, okay, here's what's on paper, but this is just kind of like, just like a base for us to start from. But who knows? Let's see. Maybe something else will. But I think there has to be a level of being able to let go. Being able to let go of the writing. That it doesn't have to be that there's an expression in poetry. When I took poetry class at Boise State, the instructor said, "You got to abort your babies," is the sort of expression there. And I remember like being horrified, like, what? This line is gorgeous. I cannot, And then by the time I was done with that class, and another one where I was really challenged, I was like, yeah, no, doesn't sound right. Just go ahead and slice it. Just being able to let go of that. And how has that directing side of it with directors been in terms of being able to explore sort of with yourself within that character and the different ways that directors approach it, sort of a story and a set and the writing?
Yeah, I think a big part of where I'm at in my journey is humbling myself, because I do have I'm very opinionated. Mm-hmm. I do have a more assertive personality. I am a natural leader, which is who I am. And so humbling myself, and instead of coming to set saying, what can I get out of this? What am I going to get from this situation? I instead am approaching things with, how can I be of service to this individual's creative vision? How can I be of service to them? So, whereas in my past, I have pushed back a lot with directors, giving maybe a little too much feedback, maybe stepping on people's toes a little bit. Definitely have been called the D word, a diva. And so, I checked myself, because this person who informed me of that is someone I respect and admire and love. Yeah. And they were like, oh yeah, it's kind of a joke in the community, you're a diva. And I was like, a diva is a female version of a hustler, to quote Beyonce.
Yes, maybe.
Yeah. But, it was a wake-up call. It was like, wow, no one wants to work with an asshole. So you can have your own feelings and your own interpretations, but you can also be humble and service the people that you're working with, and do the work and show up with the work done and have a collaborative creative experience. It's not all about Zoe, and it's not all about the director. It's a creative, collaborative experience. So I've done a little reframing in the past year.
Nice. So. That's fantastic. I love that. And that's a really smart way to approach it as well, because it allows that open space and invitation that if you do share an opinion, it's more from a space of, how can we look at it and work on it together versus it has to be only this way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Makes for a better creative space.
Yeah. Because I definitely was I naturally can have a tendency to be too aggressive. And so that's something I had to recognize about myself and change, because I didn't like it about myself. It's not who I want to be, and it's not a type of person I want in my life. So I have to keep myself in check, and that's just a part of my journey.
Yeah, one way to do it. That's really, really smart thinking, smart approach. Hey, thanks for hanging out. Remember to subscribe to Her Salty Words and give her 5 stars so that this podcast can grow and reach as many humans as possible. And if you could share it, that would be awesome sauce. Last, check out Why You Gotta Be So Salty with an I in salty on YouTube. Click subscribe and like for future episodes. Thanks so much for your time, and I look forward to hanging out next time on Her Salty Words.